Then how to download it by using a get command. We saw that, right? So here, when you are processing the data into the table, when you are loading the files into the table, all files which you processed, all are valid files. We didn't process any invalid files, right? Today, we are going to see how to implement validations in our Snowflake. Let's say whatever the file we wanted to process, that particular file, if it is having issues, let's assume that I will open a file. See this is the file. This file, if you observe, see this one, this is employee ID. If you consider the employee ID as a number data type, but here we have character, right? So it won't allow you to load the data to the specific table if the table column data type is created as a number. It will throw error. So this file is a invalid file, right? This file is invalid file. And so this particular file, if you wanted to process it, then what are the different options we are having? When we are implementing, right? When we are doing validations, remember this two things. One is before loading data to the table, one option. Another option is after loading data to the table. These are the two things. One is before loading the data to the table. Another one is after loading the data to the table. We can do the validation in two ways. Before loading the data to the table, within the copy command itself, we can use this option, validation mode. Validation mode equal to return errors. Return errors we can use. When you use this validation mode return errors, right? This option will display, it will give error details. Error details. This is before loading a data only. And one more thing on this particular topic, you will get a interview question like, when you use validation mode return errors option, if you don't have any errors, it it won't allow to load the data to the table. It won't allow to load data. When you use validation mode equal to return errors, so this is specifically to check whether you have any issues or not. That's it. Even though if you don't have any issues, it won't allow you to load the data. We need to remember this. Now, let's observe this. So when we are implementing this error file, so how this validation mode option is going to work, and then how to identify the errors. This is first option. Later we will see after loading the data to the table. Now our requirement is we need to load this file into the table. For that, let's create a table structure first. See this. When you are creating a table structure, we are going to create a table structure with emp validate table name. Observe the employee ID column. Employee ID is integer, right? This is number. We are creating a table. Now we wanted to load this particular file, whatever the file it is available, this particular file we wanted to load. So we will pick the path. We are going to use a put command to load the data to the specific stage, right? We can use a named stage here, right? For that, let's modify the put command. Observe this. Sorry. Put file. This is the path where the file is available. From this particular path, we wanted to load it to the stage, table stage area. When the file is created, file is available. Sorry, table is created. Table will have a table stage area, right? Then we can use @ table name. This is stage area. Now this is the put command, right? It is going to pick the file from this particular path. It will load it into this particular stage area, right? Now, when we are implementing this, where we have to implement this put command, we need to do this in a CLI. Let's come to the command prompt. Let's type snow SQL space -a space account details, right? So what is our account details are here? This is our account details. This is our account details from here to here. Come here, right click. Next, it will ask you the username and then password. Let's use, this is the username and then password. Now use database name. Now what we need to do? We need to implement this put command to load the data into the specific table from this, specific stage from this particular path. Now the file is available in the stage area. If you see list @stage name, you can able to see the file. The file is available. This file we wanted to load it into this particular table, right? Normally what we are going to do, we will use a copy command, right? Copy into table from the stage area. Now observe this same thing. Here also we are using the same thing. Copy into table from @stage name. This is the stage name. And so we are using file format option. Now let's comment validation mode here. Now without validation mode, we are running a copy command. Mhm. Observe this here, what it will do. What it is telling, it is giving error, right? If you see the error completely, observe this, what it is telling, numeric value snow is not recognized. And at the same time, it is telling that column, right? If you would you like to, which column is having error? Employee ID column. So if you would you like to loading when the error is encountered, it is telling that skip file. You can use skip file option or continue option when you are using on error, right? So in this case, when you directly run the copy command, it will throw error. It won't allow you to load error related files, right? Now, how to understand what are the errors? Here it is telling that high level, but it is not giving in-depth error. It is telling that only one, right? Only one value. But what about the others? Which column it is? And then what is the reason of the failure, right? For that, see this. We are using validation mode equal to return errors. This command will work only before loading the data to the table. Now in this table, we don't have any records, right? We didn't loaded anything. Now so before loading the data to the table, we are using this validation mode return errors. Now observe this, when we are running, what will happen? See this one, what it is telling. It's giving the complete details of the errors, clear information, right? See this, numeric value is snow is not recognized. Numeric value Snowflake is not recognized. And then at the same time, it is telling that, see this, what is the file name? And then line number, right? 4 and 5. And see this, which category it belongs to, the error category, error code, right? And then see this column name, employee ID column name. In this particular table, row number is 3 and 4. And then this is the rejected records. By seeing this, what we can understand, we can get all the error details information when you use validation mode equal to return errors. In the backend, it will check all the details, it will validate it, and then it will compare table and then file, and then it will give you the reason of the failure. Clear, right? Okay. Now, this one before loading the data, right? Now, this one will not allow you to load the data to the table when you use validation mode return errors. For example, what we will do is, we will create a new table. Observe this. We are going to create a new table. This is a new table. And we will use this column data type as string. Now, let's try to execute it. Yes, created a table. Now, we wanted to load the same file into the same table. Again, we will create a named stage. I mean, we will load it into this table stage, another table stage. So here, validate underscore test is the table, and it is going to load it into this particular test stage area. Now we are loading the same error related file information here. Copy, click. File is available. Now see this here, string, right? It has to allow. Now I will run the same command here. Observe this. What we are doing, test. This is the table. This is the stage name. What is the difference here and here? Here we have a error file in the stage area. Here also same error file we have kept, but the data type we have given as a different in this particular table, right? Now observe, validation mode equal to return errors. When you run this, what happened now? See this, the data is not loaded, but the data type here, it is a string we created, right? See this, in this particular table, when you created, let's come here, test table. What is the data type for employee ID? This is, sorry, this one, validate test table. See this, varchar, right? It has to allow, right? But why it is not allowing? Because of validation mode equal to return errors. If you use validation mode return errors command in a copy command, remember that if you don't have any errors also, it won't allow you to load the data. It will allow you to give only error related information. That's it. Now we are going to comment this validation mode. We are commenting. It means it will not consider this command for this particular query. Now we have commented it. Now when you are running this, see this, without validation mode return errors, we are running this one. Now observe what will happen. Now it's loaded, right? Now this is loaded. Now let's say in this previous table, if I try to run this table, it is loaded because we changed the data type. Now here we are running, still it is throwing error because of this table structure is table ID is number, right? Now if I wanted to load only the valid records, then how to handle it? So if you wanted to load only valid records, or we can use multiple options. On error option we have, on error equal to skip file we can give. For example, in this particular stage, if you have multiple files in this particular stage, so if you have multiple files here, sorry, this particular stage, how many files we have? One file. If you have multiple files, which file is having error, that file will be loaded, that file will be skipped, and then which file is not having error, that file will be loaded. For example, let's say another file also we have, right, with no errors. See this file is not having any errors. Is it clear? Right? Now we will load this particular file also into that particular stage area. Then copy this path. What I will do is, this is the path. We are trying to load this into the stage area. Validate. This is the stage area, right? Validate. Okay, we will use it for the validate one. Here only how many files we have? One file, right? Now we are trying to load another file which it is having valid. Now come here, see this, sorry, okay, there is no space here, we didn't give any space. Yeah, now it is loaded. Now if you see how many files we have here, two files basically. One is with errors, another one is without errors, right? In this case, if I use on error equal to skip file, error file will be skipped. Let's assume that in this particular stage area, we have around 10 files. We need to skip error file. Remaining all the valid files we need to process. So that what we can do is on error equal to skip file. For example, on error equal to, we will give skip file option. On error skip file. When I give on error skip file, which file is having error, that file will be skipped, remaining files will be loaded. See this here. What happened now? One file is load failed, another file is loaded. How many is loaded? See this, 4 rows parts, 4 rows loaded. For the failed, like which file is having error, that file there is 0 loaded. Only one file is loaded now, right? It is skipping error related files, and then it is loading only valid files. That's the purpose of on error equal to skip file. Now let's say we have another option. In this particular file, how many rows is having error? 2 rows only, right? See this file, we have only 2 rows is having error. I wanted to load only valid data. I wanted to ignore these two error records. In a file itself, we can load only valid records, and then invalid we are going to ignore. In that case, what we can do is observe this. On error equal to continue. Continue I will give. When you give on error continue, right, what will happen is it is going to continue loading valid rows. It will ignore invalid rows. Observe this. We are giving on error continue. See this. What happened now? See this one. Now it is telling partially loaded. Previously it is telling that it is not loaded. It's failed. Load is failed. Now it is telling partially loaded. See this. How many rows it picked? 6. How many rows it is loaded? Only 4. What about the errors? 2 errors. Right? Clear. Now let's check the data here. Previously it is loaded around from this particular table. We can able to see all the valid data. See this invalid entries, it is not available here. Clear? Right? So what is the purpose of on error continue? It will ignore all the error related records and then it will load only valid files. Sorry, valid data. When you are using on error skip file, what it will do? It will skip the error files, valid files only it will process. Clear? Okay. So now here same thing. So when you are working with this, so we have a on error skip file option, on error continue option. When you use on error continue, it is loaded the data to the table, right? Once the data is loaded to the table, here we know that 2 are errors. Now I wanted to see by using validation mode return errors, I wanted to see that. Now this is after loading, right? Now I wanted to see, observe this, same table, validation mode equal to return errors I am running, but now this table is having data, right? This table we saw that this table is having data. It means data has been loaded. Now in this case, if I execute this validation mode return errors option, observe what will happen. What you observed here. It is not giving the details of the error records, right? But before that, when you before loading the data, if you execute this, it is telling that two rows are the errors it is showing, but it is not showing here because the command is designed like before loading the data only validation mode equal to work. Validation mode return errors will work. Now after loading, it will consider that file has been already loaded. It will record it as the file is already loaded, so it will not consider this file is not loaded. That's why it is not allow you to give you once the data is loaded, validation mode return errors will not work. Now how to identify? Suppose here in this case when you run that, we saw that 2 are rejected. Now I wanted to know what all are rejected after loading the data. That's why we are differentiating. One is before loading the data to the table, another one is after loading the data to the table. After loading the data to the table, we are going to use validate option using query ID. Query ID. We can use still once it is loaded the data to the table also, still we can able to identify the errors with the help of validate option by using query ID. Here query ID we are telling, right? Query ID is nothing but every query what we are executing here, it will generate unique query ID. Even If I click on this and then if I click on preview, this will also generate a query ID. If I change the worksheet here, if I could go to new worksheet also, it will generate a new query ID. Whatever the queries we are running here in this worksheet, whatever the options we are doing, everything will generate a query ID. This query ID is unique. This query ID is unique. Now let's observe this here. If you wanted to see that, come to monitor query history tab. See this one? In the query history tab, you can able to see all the queries, query IDs, all these are the query IDs, all these are the executions, query executions, whatever the queries we have executed here, these are the query IDs. If you observe, all these query IDs are unique. It won't be duplicated. Based on this query ID, we need to identify the error records. Now, first we need to know which query ID is that for that copy command execution with on error equal to continue. In this process, which process we have loaded the data here? For example, in this particular command, we have loaded the data to the table by using on error equal to continue. In this process, it is loaded the data. When you run this query, the data has been loaded. So we need to know this query ID. To get that, come here, not this one, not this one, where it is, yeah. See this is the query ID, on error equal to continue. We have used, this is the query ID. Let me copy the query ID. Based on this query ID or job ID or session ID, don't get confused here. Different persons will call with the different names. Different places we will call with the different names. Job ID, query ID, session ID, all are same. Or execution ID. Don't get confused here. Okay. Now this is unique. This is unique. Based on this, we will run a query to get validate option to understand error related information. See this is the query which we are going to use. By using this, we can able to understand what is the reason of the failures and then which all rejected from the table. So here when you when you observe, here we are trying to get select star from table, validate option. This is the table name. This is the job ID. Job ID is nothing but query ID, right? When you are running this query in this particular table, show me the validate. Give me the validation, right? We will use this option to identify errors after loading the data to the table, right? Now let's come this and then let's try to execute this one. Think. Observe this, what will happen. Here, this is the complete query ID. Okay, sorry. It's two close brackets. Now observe this. See this. What we have seen before loading the data to the table by using validate mode option equal to return errors. The same thing we are seeing now by using validate option. This is after loading the data to the table. Clear? Now let's see. other frequent errors options, some of the other options. For example, let's say if you have a length issue, guys, assume that in this particular table, employee ID, we created a column length as 3. But when you are trying to process it, what is the length here? Length of this particular value is 4, right? Obviously, it will throw error because of the length issue, right? Then how to handle it? Sometimes, let's assume that, let's assume phone number column is there. Phone number, it will allow only 10 digits. After that, whatever the digits is there, it has to ignore it. Or currency column is there. Let's say currency column, we need to maintain like a 15 digits. After the 15 digits, whatever it is there, like decimal points, it has to be ignored. Let's assume that that is a scenario. Then, whenever we created a design the table structure, based on the table structure, whatever we are receiving, it is receiving length more than the table structure. In that case, how to handle it? So we have option. See, all these options, if you describe stage, and then stage name, we can able to see all these things. See this one, some of on error implementation, and then truncate columns option. See this, enforce length or truncate column, both are similar. These are the some of the options. See this field delimiter, what we need to use, and then skip header, we need to skip the header option, and then see this field optionally enclosed. And then if you wanted to handle the null if function, right? So if you wanted to compress, so other than the default compression, we can use other specific compression for all these things. So we'll have a different examples in our documentation. Now let's see. So we are going to use the truncate columns. Both functions, enforce length, truncate columns, both is for the same purpose. Don't get confused here. But so initial releases, they came up with the enforce length. Later they came up with the truncate columns, but both are with the similar implementation. Let's say here we will create a table with the lesser length. For example, observe this. What we are doing here, we are creating a table, and the table name we will give it as truncate columns, TC. Truncate columns. And what is the length of the employee ID here we are giving? Length is 3. Length is 3. And then we have ID, name, salary, age, location, all these things is there. And then length is 3. Now, the same file, we wanted to load the data to this table. What we are going to do? We are going to keep that into the stage area, right? Let me change that command. Otherwise, emp underscore truncate columns, right? This is anyone will take with errors or without errors, that's fine. Copy this, come here. It's not copied properly.
Oh, you sure? Okay.
Just a minute, guys.
Want to shake my hand?
Yeah, sorry, guys. Okay. And I will give CSV grade percentage emp underscore truncate columns. Now see this one. What happened? The file is uploaded. Now if you try to load this by using this command, observe this, what will happen? Copy into table from truncate columns TC from this particular stage area underscore columns. Now if I try to execute this, see this. What is the error it is telling? See this character length limit 3 exceeding by the string 1001. It's clearly telling the length of the column in a file is 1001. That is 4. But limit in your table is 3, right? Character length limit is 3 in your table. So it won't allow you to load, right? Now we wanted to truncate that columns and we wanted to load. For that, we need to adjust that length according to the table structure. Then we can use truncate columns option, truncate columns equal to true, or we can use enforce equal to force. Any one option you can use. Truncate columns equal to true. It means it will truncate the columns. By default, it is false. It should not truncate any columns by default. But here, so intentionally we are doing truncate columns equal to true. When you give this truncate columns equal to true, and then if you execute it, observe what is happening. Sorry. See this here? What happened now? Loaded. Now let's check the data here. See this? Now observe the data. What we saw that we have a data loaded. See this? Data loaded. All is truncated with adjusted with 3 length is 3. Now, okay, this is the option of truncate columns, or if you use enforce length also, same. Now we have a data in the table. Now I am deleting this data. Let's assume I am doing something on this table. By mistake, I have deleted the data. By mistake, I have deleted the data from this table, guys. Now, if you check the data here, can I able to see? No, right? No, we didn't see the data. Now, I wanted to load the data one more time to the table. Then what I can do? Same thing, stage. In the stage, the file is available in the stage. Then we can load one more time, copy command execution, right? Now, if I try to do this, what will happen? Snowflake will not consider if the file once it is loaded to the table, same file it will not allow, right? That is the basic criteria, right? Now the data is not there in the table, our table, and the copy command is also not allowing to load the data to the table. What is the option now? But we need a data here, right? In this process, we have an option called force equal to true. Here, if you observe, force equal to true option we will give. It will be there. Force, right? Force. By default, what is the force option is false. Now I am giving force equal to true. What it will do is, whenever we are running a copy command, if you use force equal to true option, it will remove that file. Sorry, it will not consider whether the file is loaded or not. Always it will load same file one more time to the table, until you have force equal to true option. It means forcefully you are allowing your Snowflake, forcefully you are telling to your Snowflake to load the data into this particular table. Clear, right? That's why we have force equal to true option. Now let's come here. We will use force equal to true. What will happen? Just observe. Before that we don't have a data, right? Now let me execute it one more time. Observe what happened. It's loaded. Check the data in the table now. Yes, we have a data. Again, if I try to execute this without force equal to true, what it will do? Zero files processed. With force equal to true, if I execute it, what it will do? It will reprocess the data. Forcefully, it is loading the same file one more time to the table if you are using force equal to true option. Clear, right? Now, once the file is loaded to the table, we will see the one more option here. Once the file loaded from stage to the table, still the files are available here. See this, stage files, emp stage, table stage, and all the stages wherever we have loaded all the stages, the files is available, right? For example, emp tbl stg, you can see the stage file is available. Same way, list at the rate percentage emp emp table, you can able to see the files, right? Once it is loaded the file to the table, if you think that we don't require these files, you don't require for further processing, then just we can use remove command, rm remove and then stage name like this. Then rm means remove, it is removed the file from the stage area, it is removed. This is a manual process, again and again we need to do, right? Once it is loaded, right, instead of that we can directly jump into the copy command. Here directly we can use purge equal to true option. See this, the main reason behind the sorry guys, purge equal to true best practices is because whatever the file we are keeping, for all those files Snowflake will charge from us. See this, I go to cost management. In the cost management, if I click on consumption, let it come, storage, specifically observe how much storage it is occupied for the stages from last 1 week. It will accumulate all the files which it is available in the stage. Then that is a unnecessary credits consumption for us, right? It means we will pay more money. Let it come. After that we will see. Let me refresh it. Okay, it will come. So instead of this keeping the files and then removing later by using a remove option, we can use purge equal to true. But here one more certification question and interview question also. When purge equal to true is going to work? It will work only when the data loaded successfully to the table. Then only purge equal to true command will work. Otherwise it won't work. Let's say here if I comment force equal to true, will it load the data from the table from one more time from this particular stage? it won't write. See this? If I see list at the rate stage name, what you observed? File is still available, right? Now, if I comment force equal to true, will it allow you to load the data? No, right? It will not allow you to load the data. In this case, if I use purge equal to true also, purge will not work. Purge will not work because purge will work only if your file successfully loaded to the table, then only your purge is going to work. Otherwise, it will not work. Clear? Now, let's come to this. See this. We are going to give force equal to true also. Force equal to true, if we give, what will happen? Forcefully, it will load one more time to the table. If the file is successfully loaded, then only purge command will work. Otherwise, it won't work. Now, observe this. We are using this now. Execute this. Now, it's loaded successfully. Check the file. Is it available now? No, right? No option. So, there is no file because it's already loaded. And then it is removed, right? It is successfully loaded and it is removed at the same time. That's why we will use purge equal to true as a one of the best practices. Now, one more thing. Allow me 5 more minutes. We will finish that. Before that, stay this. This is the stage. This is storage related to the stage. This color, right? It is showing what are the files we are keeping. Every day it is occupying the storage. So it's unnecessarily. So storage, that's why we are removing by using purge option. Let's say your file is having another option. Your file is having duplicate rows. How to avoid the duplicate rows in Snowflake? While loading itself, most of the time we will avoid the duplicate rows. Now let's observe quickly. We will use, for example, we will create a new table. This is a new table, distinct new. This is a new table which we are creating. Now, if you wanted to process the duplicate files, we will load it into this particular stage area, right? The file which it is having, see this, these two are duplicates, right? These two are duplicates. So what we can do, we can load the file into the stage. Otherwise, we will pick the valid file, whether see duplicates is there or not. Yeah, here also we have, right? Let's pick this particular file. And then we will load it into this particular stage area. I will use a put command. Put command will modify it. This is the stage area. So we will use this stage and then this is the file. Now we will use this copy command, put command into the CLI. Just a minute. Now this file, it contains, okay, just a minute. This particular file, it contains the duplicates. Now this file, if you are trying to load, now we don't want it to load a duplicate rows. Then what we can do is simple command. Previously also we saw that. We will use $1, $2, $5, $3 like that for the specific column names. But here along with that, we are going to use a distinct keyword. We are going to use a keyword called distinct. That's it. It will remove all the duplicates from the file. It will keep only one value into the table. Unnecessary values, it will be removed by using a copy command. If you use distinct option, see this, we are using copy into the table from, this is the stage area. In this stage, if you have multiple files, you can specify like this, slash the file name, slash file name. This particular file, what is the file name here? This is no errors. Validate, no errors. This is the file. This is the file, right? And then this file is available in the stage. And what you are using here additionally, distinct option. If you use distinct option, what will happen? It will remove the, it will not pick duplicates. It will pick only unique values, right? Now let's try to execute this copy command. Now how many we have here? 4, right? And one more thing, this is a like a kind of a bug in Snowflake. So don't worry about this. Because 4 is there available in the file. How many it is loaded? It is saying that rows loaded also 4. But if you actually see that table, see this, how many we have? Only 2, right? Only 2 is loaded. Remaining 2 are duplicates, it is not loaded, right? So this is how we can able to control duplicate things. What are the things we run here? So there is, when we are implementing validation option, there is two options. One is before loading the data, another one is after loading the data to the table. When you use validation mode return errors, it will give only error related details, that's it. If you don't have any errors also, it won't allow you to load the data. After loading the data to the table, we can use validate option by using a query ID. If you have any errors, we can use on error option. In a on error option, we have multiple things. We can use skip file, right? Another one is we can use continue option, right? By default, on error statement is abort statement. No need to specify that. By default, if you don't mention anything, by default it will be abort statement. And if you wanted to use the length adjustment, we can use truncate columns, right? And at the same time, if you wanted to use forcefully, if you wanted to load, then force equal to true option. And if you wanted to purge the data, we will use purge. Remove the file from the stage area, we will use purge. If you wanted to process only the unique values, you will use distinct option in a copy command, right? This is the most so used commands. So when we are working with a copy command, so these are the things now which we have discussed. Now let's come to the questions. So first, and from to next session onwards, and weekends we don't have session, guys. Next session onwards, we are jumping into actual topics of the Snowflake, actual functionalities of the Snowflake. So till here, whatever we have discussed, please practice 1 or 2 times. Just let me come to the questions. I can see some of the questions here. When you are, okay, let me see the question. When you are creating a table, you are the field name data type here. There are only 5 fields. Is it fine? Is there any serial by exact data from SAP? Yes, we can able to type it. That's not a problem. When we are having a extra data from SAP or SQL, then will be 100 fields, even more. Is there a short method to give the fields? Yes, we have that. Dynamically, it will be created by using a like a match by columns option. We can able to create it. That is only for a JSON tables we have, but for the other tables like a JSON files we have match by columns, dynamically columns will be created. But like for other other like it's right, we don't have an option. We need to create it manually only. So we need to like one by one columns and then data types, we need to create it when we are creating table structure. That is the option. Yeah.
But from hi Dinesh, Sunil again.
Yes,
But
yes,
from if
Sunil.
you are extracting data from SAP, for example,
Mm-hmm.
for sure, because I have the scenarios also in my
Mm-hmm.
projects.
Mm-hmm.
I work in SAP, and there is another team, Snowflake. I have
Okay.
like material master data or sales data or financial data, everything.
Mm-hmm.
There will be for sure more than 100 fields or sometimes
Yes,
250 fields
yes.
also there.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm creating any table in, not table, we call it as cube in BW, but let's call it as
Okay.
table for the BW. When we
Okay.
create any table, I give reference as what is the reference we are giving from SAP. For
Oh,
example,
okay.
in SAP, we have Mara table or like that. We just give that reference here in
Mm-hmm.
BW. That way, it will take all the
Okay.
fields and data types also. I don't need to type
Mm.
anything.
Got it. Got it. I understand your question. Mm-hmm.
So in Snowflake, how do we have a
No.
data source, SAP to Snowflake, it's going, and there I
Mm-hmm.
need to create a table to store all the data.
Got it.
How
So,
do you manually enter all the 100
yes,
fields?
yes. We don't have an option. So till now, so maybe it will come in the future. But at this moment, we need to create a fields.
Okay, okay, got it.
Yeah.
And the next question also instead of you read, um, you showed of Snowflake bug is like it shows all the count of records. Doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter whether it loads or not, it shows the count itself.
Correct.
But
Correct.
is there
Correct.
any function that we see how many duplicate records are there, or what are the duplicate records? Is it possible to see only the
Mm,
count or at least data?
no. So we don't have the option. Only we can able to see how many records it is loaded. It is showing here, right? And then we can go to the table and then we will see the count. How many, like what is the actual count in the table, and then
Mhm.
what it is telling actually it is loaded, so that we can compare. That is the one option, but we don't have like other any functionalities here.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, guys. So please practice and then happy weekend, guys. See you on Monday. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. One question.
Yes, yes, Paulo.
So,
Tell me.
is it possible to give any demo on Parquet file or ORC file related stuff?
Yes, we are going to see that practically only. We are going to see that. Okay.
Okay,
We
okay,
will see by using JSON files and Parquet files. Mm.
okay, okay.
When you are processing with cloud platform, right? We will see
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Especially here, the JSON
Okay,
Parquet
okay,
on
okay. Got it.
19th and 20th. We will see that.
Okay, okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Thank you. See you on Monday. Yeah. Bye, guys.
Sorry,
Happy
I
week.
was on mute. Dinesh, I was asking one more question. Sorry.
Yep, Sunil. Tell me.
Yeah. If you are already covering the authorization related topics, I don't want you to disturb the flow. But my
We are
question
going
is,
to cover, yeah, role-based
oh,
access controls, right? Hmm.
yeah, how do you give authorization to end users? Do you restrict table wise? These kind of things I have a question.
Yes,
But if you are covering, then I can hold it up.
yes, we are doing that, Sunil. Yeah,
Great, thank you. I don't want to disturb the flow.
yeah. Thank you. Okay, yes. Thank you. Bye.